We are backstage at the iHeartTheater with a man who is not afraid to tell you how much he likes the band Genesis. Is that true?
I have no problem saying that I like the band Genesis.
I swear, I watched half a dozen interviews before I talked to you right there, and 90% of them mentioned at some point Genesis.
Okay.
Is that weird?
It is.
Yeah, okay, sorry. Well, it's
we
David
did cover
Draiman.
Land of Confusion. So
There you go.
To an extent.
There you go. It's David Draiman from Disturbed. Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
Do you feel like people, given the nature and the sound of Disturbed, kind of throw, I don't want to say stereotypes on you, but they have preconceived notions of what you like and what you listen to based on, again, on the nature of Disturbed?
Oh, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt in my mind.
What's one that comes across kind of more often than not? Is there one that kind of comes to mind?
So many unjustified stereotypes attributed to hard rock and heavy metal, between the demonic nature that's supposedly attributed to it, to the violent nature that's supposed to be inherent within it and that it supposedly inspires, when oftentimes it's exactly the opposite. There's a plethora of things.
Yeah, it just comes with a lack of both knowledge and a lack of understanding of kind of what's really going on, and lack of research, lack of depth.
There you go.
I bring that up because I feel like Disturbed is a band, especially as of late in the last couple of years, that has been reaching far beyond some of those kind of hard rock origins. And the most recent example is the song that came out this year. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Hold On to Memories is a track that we've been playing live for this entire cycle almost, and it's been just an incredibly poignant moment of the set every single night. It's interesting. The song came together originally. Danny had sent me this really sweet piece of music. It was one of the first few pieces of music that he sent me when we first started working on the record. And it was obviously, as you know, stylistically very different. But I started messing with it and came up with this really sweet, beautiful melody to go along with it. And I had just seen the movie Coco with my kid.
Wow.
And I don't know if you've had the pleasure of seeing it.
I'm familiar with Coco, but I have not seen Coco.
It's an absolutely adorable film. You see, another further shattering the stereotype of the hard rock and heavy metal
World's
guy.
#1 Coco.
Yeah, he watched Coco and likes Pixar films. Sure. So anyway, the concept behind it is going according to the theology of the Mexican Day of the Dead. And that people, once they've left us, that their spirit remains, their soul remains in the afterlife, and what helps sustain the soul is your remembering them, is keeping them in your memory. And I started crafting a lyric, and it came together really fluidly, and I was very worried about what Danny might think of what I had come up with, and I sent it to him, and much to my surprise, he was like overjoyed by it. And what did he call it? He said he thought that the song could be our Green Day moment.
Yeah.
He thought it was like this big, open, different, and it felt that way to me too. But more importantly, how it felt by its meaning as a song to so many people, and how many people's lives it touched, and how it enabled us to, come to terms with the people that we are still missing so very much, and to try and reinforce the notion to live every single day to its fullest and take the time that you have with the people you love while you have it.
Absolutely. Is it ever, I don't know if burden is the right word, but is it ever hard for you emotionally? Because since this song has come out, people have come to you countless times a day with stories that are at that point the most important emotional thing kind of in their lives, stories of loss that they are dealing with. Do you ever feel as if that's an emotional kind of burden that is tough to bear because of this song?
It's never easy to try and shoulder anybody else's suffering or help them carry it or help them contextualize it. But I think that for us it's been very, very gratifying. Is it a heavy task? Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, there was I remember in the UK, there was a family who, during Hold On to Memories, were all pushed themselves all the way up to the front row, and they were holding a picture of their child, their infant child who had since passed. And he had like a little metal onesie on him, and we pulled them up on stage. We noticed them from the crowd. It became a really, really intimate and emotional moment. And just knowing that anything that as an artist you've created can bring some sort of peace and some sort of, reflection and closure to people who are suffering so greatly is amazing.
Yeah. Sonically, is this a song that you feel like Disturbed would have had the courage to do 10 years ago, 15 years ago?
It may surprise you to hear that I think we would have.
Yeah.
We had the courage to write a song called Darkness on the Believe record. At the time, and I still think it's a beautiful, beautiful song, but at the time, the stereotype really kind of hung over everything. It was an age where I don't think people were ready to hear something like that from us.
Absolutely.
We've been chomping at the bit to do something different like this, to do even an acoustic EP, which we had talked about doing for a good 15 years. So we've been wanting to go and branch out in different directions, and we enjoyed doing it. But it had to feel right. The songs had to be strong enough and compelling enough. And this time there was really no doubt in our minds.
I feel like it's important to point out for people who do not maybe understand why it would have taken courage to make a song like that is fans of rock music are as passionate as they are out there.
And they can be a little judgmental.
They can be tough. Absolutely. If they feel like you are kind of abandoning what got you to where you were, and sometimes doing a song with this difference sonically, there can be some I would say undeserved judgment.
No, everyone needs to look. You can't appreciate heavy if all you ever have is heavy.
Yeah, that's true.
All right? And the greatest heavy metal bands and hard rock bands in history have always had their acoustic moments, whether you're talking about Black Sabbath to Metallica to Pantera. I mean, you name it. Planet Caravan done by Sabbath, covered by Pantera. Nothing Else Matters. I mean, there's so many departures, and those departures, even though they are stylistically so drastically different, but the identity of the musicians is still so blatant in them.
Absolutely.
You still have no doubt who's performing. You still have no doubt, of the power that's inherent within it. So I think that, if everybody can just lay off the music snobbery for like about 5-10 minutes.
Well, I don't think anybody who understands would disagree that from an artistic standpoint, all the bands you just mentioned, especially with Disturbed, very few artists worth their salt are comfortable just doing the same thing over and over again. Everybody wants to expand. Everybody wants to try different things. That's how you stretch your artistic legs. And this, in so many different ways, is this band stretching its artistic legs.
For sure. And it was a great experience to do so, and we'll probably do more of it in the future. But look, let me reassure everyone that at the end of the day, we still love driving, aggressive, rhythmic, in-your-face, anthemic songs.
You don't need to say that. Everybody knows that.
We love doing it.
Absolutely.
So don't worry, we're not deviating completely from it.
Well, that's a good segue to the anniversary that you're celebrating this year. The Sickness turns 20 years old. You guys are going out on tour. What did this record mean? How do you look at this record 2 decades later? Tell me about this trip you're about to take.
Yeah, it was such an amazing time for everybody when that record came out. I mean, it was 2000. It was the beginning of the first massive wave of the nu metal revolution, and everybody was in great spirits and great positivity, and music was everywhere, and the Ozfest was flourishing.
Yeah.
And, it was an amazing time. An amazing time. I mean, if there was a period that could be described as our, for the for the new wave of hard rock and heavy metal bands that came into existence as our 80s.
Sure.
I suppose you could say the late 90s, early 2000s. That was it.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
But you know, I look back at the record and I appreciate its rawness. I appreciate how it cut through a lot of the noise, how it really was a very clear demonstration of how we learned to play with each other.
Okay. Yeah.
That first record. It was us, our first fusion of styles, our first influencing of one another. And it was pretty amazing.
Sometimes when people go back and look at a body of work that they created that long ago, it's cause for either pride or maybe a little bit of embarrassment.
Oh,
or
I've
both.
got both.
Yeah, is
no doubt
there
about
that?
it.
Okay.
There's things I look at that record and I listen to and I'm incredibly proud of, and
Sure.
then there's things like, what the hell? Was
Like,
I
what
thinking?
were we doing? That's funny.
Did I really have to repeat that word that many times in that song, or did I? Ooh, how did I leave that? How did I not go fix that? You know, like, but you're young, you know, and,
Sure.
and truth be told, is that even though it bothers me, there's something to the rawness of it that to the dedicated hardcore listener is very, very appealing.
Absolutely.
So I don't diminish the value of imperfections.
Well, yeah, there are generations of people at this point that can't imagine it any other way. Yeah, for sure. Congratulations on everything, and thank you, kind of what we touched on earlier, for continuing to stretch your legs.
Of course.
Artistically, you've come with a song that sonically is different for you guys and so special, and lyrically that much more so, that has touched, I think, anybody who's really taken the time to sit down, listen to it, and think about kind of what it means for them.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. It's David Draiman from the band Disturbed. Hold On to Memories is the name of the song. It is out now.